Hello and welcome. You're watching Livestream, the one show where we want to hear what you have to say. This is all about your voices, your concerns, your issue and the issues that you believe need solutions today. We've heard you all of last week. We had just so many callers, the phones really ringing off the hooks as you wanted to talk about CBSE, about the leaks, about what should happen. Many of you, of course, said no re-exam, especially the maths paper for class 10th, and you seem to have got your wish today. The government says in the interest of students, that re-exam is not going to happen. Well, clearly, no re-exam is almost equals tremendous relief, but there are still a fair number of students out there who say, how do you make it a level playing field? The fact is, some students had access to the question paper, knew what was coming before the exam. They now have an unfair edge, but vast numbers do seem relieved. And that, of course, is our big focus. Do you believe that this is the right decision? It was anyway only happening for Delhi and Haryana. Well, joining me on the program is Ishita Mehra. She's a class 10 school student of Sanskriti School, someone who will now not have to take that re-exam. With her, Ashish Bari, Vice President Career Launcher. Also joining us on Skype this evening, Laksh Gupta, again a class 10 student from the very same school. Thanks very much, Laksh. Before I get everybody in, I want to ask you, Ishita and then Laksh. Ishita, interestingly, you said that you had two opinions about this. I mean, are you happy? Are you relieved or not?
Actually, here my mindset goes in two directions. First is I wanted to give the retest because, you know, I feel that it would have got a fairer result. Second is I didn't really want to give the retest. Now I'm happy that it's not really there because now what is the stress level has really gone down and we have like become really happy. Now we can actually have fun.
I can imagine that. It wasn't just any paper. Yeah. It was also maths. It was also maths. But before I get Ashish in, Laksh, would you agree? Would you share that sentiment? Happy? Relieved, but maybe would have liked to give, but no complaints. Is that where you stand on this, Laksh?
Actually, I won't be happy right now. The real happiness would be when the real culprits, those because of whom we had to give the retest, will be caught. Great point. That really is a great point, you know, and let's hope that happens today in court. I can tell you that the police, in fact, said that they believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg and that the rot really goes deeper. That really is the concern. Ashish, I'm coming to you in just a bit, but there were two girls, twins, 15-year-olds, class 10 students who actually didn't sit back and wait for the government to come up with this. They went to court, in fact, and you know, said that let there not be a retest. My colleague Sonal caught up with them.
Their maths books are still out, nervousness still clearly on their faces. Well, it's not just these two kids, but perhaps what the entire nation, all those who appeared for 10th and 12th CBSE this time are going through. But carrying the baton for them are these two young girls. Anusya and Gayatri from the national capital have petitioned in Supreme Court saying, why should only Delhi, NCR and Haryana students be suffering for a mistake they did not commit? They have now petitioned the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court will be hearing the matter tomorrow. In the meanwhile, while this petition was on its way in the Supreme Court, these young girls, only 15 years old, have got the news that the CBSE now will be not conducting the class 10th examination altogether. So firstly, tell me, how does it change your appeal in the Supreme Court?
No, it's like I'm really happy that they have made the decision now, but they should have made it very early because we had to go through a very traumatic week because I had an exam like tomorrow and I was not able to focus on that exam alone. I was worried that I had to again do a subject that I really did not like, but gave all my hard work and attention.
And also because this is the first batch which is actually giving a full term paper and the first examination. But tell me, Anusya, what really prompted you guys to go and knock the doors of the Supreme Court? Your sister here tells me that you got after your parents and said, you know, you guys are journalists, how can you not take up this petition? And what exactly went on? What is it that you're seeking from the top court?
I actually, when I got the news that they're going to be a retest, I felt like broken, that how can they do this to us. But because I wanted to do this, because we need justice, and if there's only one place we can seek justice, there's a court. So we decided. We didn't know what to do. So we asked our parents that can they do something.
Perhaps your little training has started already with the Supreme Court case. Now these two little girls, all of 15, have now taken to the court. They will be in Supreme Court tomorrow to try and understand how this matter goes. But for now, they're saying karma will play its role. Do not make the students go through this stress again. But the question is, now that these retests are not happening, will this mean that there is coming down of the system altogether, or will there be more accountability created so that CBSE can come up with a more robust mechanism to ensure that this level of stress does not seep into the students of India again? In New Delhi, Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor.
Right, so those girls, of course, those twins somewhat sharing your views also, Ishita, didn't want to take it. You know, is this really fair? I'm coming to you, Ashish, in a bit, but I want to show that we've got a caller, Anurag from Hyderabad. Go ahead, Anurag.
Hello, ma'am. My question is, like, this CBSE paper leak has been in news for quite some days. So I want to ask that what went wrong and what can we do to prevent such issues, whether the educational system, there is lack in some educational system or else.
Right, and Ashish, that really is still the big question, isn't it? If all those who are saying that we still don't understand how it has happened, we hope that there'll be clarity on that. But more importantly, how would we prevent it from happening again? Those are questions that we can't answer.
Yeah, I think, if you look at larger questions, in one sense, I agree to what Ishita is saying, or maybe what other students are saying, that, there is a sense of relief. But maybe we need to answer a bigger question, which is, first of all, why did that happen, right? Exams have been leaking for so many years. It's not that it has happened for the first time in our history, right? Second is that what is the guarantee that it will not happen once again, right? Second part. Third is that when we look at the exam leak happening and there's a decision of retest happening, and the bigger problem was that why was the decision being deferred to July? Right,
exactly.
So there is so much of stress already, the students are undergoing. As a parent, we feel that, okay, there are plans and all of that, right? And middle of that, you say that the exam is going to happen in mid of July. They'll take a call in July.
That was really making a bad situation worse. Laksh, come in at this point. I mean, I would imagine, I completely take your point that, you're only going to be satisfied with things once you find that the guilty have been punished, once we have systems in place to make sure nobody's got to go through the trauma that your batch has had to go through. But, give us a sense of your first thoughts when you heard that there was going to be no re-exam.
Exactly. Like when I first came to know that the exam had actually been leaked, I just had no opinion. I was so startled. But once the retest was announced, I was a bit satisfied, because so that the students who have actually prepared hard for the exam can actually get the justice. But once you know that the exam has been leaked and there has been no retest, those students are not happy, because
again, the fairness question is what you're saying. Yes, the fairness question comes into play. Ishita, how much of a concern really is that for you? I mean, they're saying that they've gone through the papers, they've sort of seen that there's no real clear pattern emerging, and that is why they feel, perhaps the leak wasn't that widespread. So, they're wanting to, but will this always play in your head, this little niggling doubt?
What basically is what I've learned in life, that there is no shortcut to success. So what if these people have got the question paper before the exam? This is 10th grade. What happens in 12th grade when the result actually matters? So there's this doubt that obviously people who've seen the question paper the other people won't have a fairer chance at the result being played. But still, it's like...
That's really wise beyond your years, I have to say that. That this is just one exam, it's one clock, then both exams, but there are other bigger battles to follow. Yes. Well, we've got another caller. This is Dr. Atri, I'm told, who's calling in. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Hello. I'm speaking from Bangalore. The question is that now that the result, the test has been is not going to be repeated, what will the students who appeared for the paper, will they get the marks from the whatever the paper they had given, and from which they would get the 10th class result or a certificate, because that would be also a cutoff point for many students who may not go for the higher secondary. This is my question.
I mean, I suppose this is just my understanding, Ashish, if you can add to this. I suppose it will be counted as a regular paper if they're not doing a retest. I mean, how do you discount this subject?
Correct. So that's not the clarity which CBSE has come up with. You know, one that there is a paper which has happened. So they say that okay, they will evaluate the paper. They have evaluated certain paper and they haven't found any pattern in it. But eventually, how do you evaluate and how do you give marks? You know, so somebody who has got an advantage of getting that paper beforehand and a student who has not seen that. So again, it is coming back to the same thing. Was it fair?
What is fair?
What is
Even
fair?
if there are just a handful of students, what is fair?
What
I
is
mean,
fair?
that's the point I think that students like Lakshmi are making.
And you know, Natasha, what I'm saying is that is it? See, these kids are going to become doctors and lawyers of our. They are future of the country. No, what is it that? What is the message that we are giving them? You can get away with cheating without being, punished or prosecuted for what you have done.
But again, I want to just come back to the point that you're making. That what would be fair? At the same time, I can imagine there were all those vast numbers who were protesting, saying no re-exam. So it was a difficult one. I see the point that you're making. Well, this is Nata Dutt, who's calling us from Delhi. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, you see, I am also a parent and my daughter would be appearing for the exams next year. What really kind of is shocking is the flip-flop at the level of the CBSE. I want to ask a simple question. Was there a paper leak or not? Is it an admitted position? If there was a paper leak, what is this probe they have done in 2 days in which they say that they have seen the papers and there is no trend of paper leak? It's a different matter that our students are relieved that they don't have to appear for a retest. But what about accountability of the system?
That really is the bigger question. What about the accountability? I just want to say on that note, yes, there has been a leak. They have proved that there were those WhatsApp images that were in the rounds, that they, in fact, for the class 12 paper and even the class 10 one, that they did have tip-offs before. People had sent faxes. There were mails sent with the attachments. So yes, I think it's proven beyond doubt that these papers have leaked as far as the others, like say the class 12 accounts paper also, some said. The Delhi Education Minister tweeted, but there seems to be no clarity on that. But I want to get you in, Ishita, on one point, which is, to all those who've been arguing that, and there were a substantial number from Delhi alone, who were saying, redo all the subjects, because there was buzz that there was, unfair things at play in all the subjects. They were not necessarily class 10, they were basically class 12. But there was this fear as well that, we don't know what's been compromised.
Basically, what the problem is, for 12th grade, their marks actually count. For 10th grade, this is a practice for 12th grade. For 12th grade, basically these marks, as they count, they get admitted into colleges with these marks. So if there's a fear that all these papers have been leaked, then they need to have a retest for all of these papers so that they have a fairer evaluation and result.